Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Life Law BIM. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is fantastic to see you guys again. And I'm back with more interesting content. I am getting a chance to have a chat with another one of our fabulous volunteer coordinators, Joseph Ashong. Welcome, Joseph. It's such a pleasure to have you on the channel today.
Thank you, Nia Michelle. It's quite a pleasure. The Life Law BIM platform, as I understand, is the fountainhead of the International Future Barrister Mentoring Program. So it's quite a pleasure to be back where it all started, and I look forward to a great interview.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and it's so good that you know that. Yep, everything was really born out of Life Law BIM. So yes, thank you for knowing that about us. Now, I usually start my interviews on quite a light note, so I want you to share with our listeners and our viewers just a fun fact about yourself.
That's interesting. And many people would be interested to know that I love karaoke. I enjoy a lot of karaoke. I've had a number of karaoke sessions back home. I haven't quite been upbeat about it since I returned to the UK. I love hymns. I'm a Methodist by faith, so I love Methodist hymns. I love choral music, and I love poems as well. I write them a few times, and I read them a few times when I get the chance. Those are what I think are the fun facts about me.
That's amazing. So you got to treat us sometime to some kind of karaoke session.
I look forward to that. I look forward to that. Look forward to
Yeah,
that.
definitely. Well, let's just jump right in. People are wondering, who are you? Who is Joseph Ashong? So please introduce yourself briefly to those who are listening and viewing.
Thank you, Nia. My name is Joseph Nii Tettey Ashong. Tettey, because in the Ghana language tribe of the southern part of Ghana, where I come from, Tettey is the name given to the first male child. So that strikes a certain sense of leadership, which has animated my life thus far. Ghana, as you know, is a trailblazer in the colonial movement of Africa, and currently, I'll say a cultural icon. And a political hub for most people. So that sense of leadership has somewhat animated my life. I'm a Christian from a family of three, the first of three boys, and that's it about me, really.
Interesting. So how long have you been in the UK pursuing a career at the Bar of England and Wales?
As you know, Nia, I studied here in 2015 and went back home. The UK has been some sort of a vacation destination for me since then. This country, as you know, is flawed in many respects, but there are those who love it. So as fate will have it, I returned in 2023 last year to begin the pursuit of my legal career, and I've been here since.
I've got to ask you because I've been asking all of you this. Why did you apply to become IFBM's volunteer coordinator?
I think that first of all, the target group for the IFBM, I'm like an archetype of the target group, an international student aspiring to become a barrister in England and Wales, facing the usual challenges that people face. And so obviously I looked forward to mentoring. And when I chanced on the IFBM, I thought that it was a brilliant opportunity. But first of all, the other opportunity of becoming coordinator, I think, is brilliant because it puts you right at the center of dealing with the two most important key stakeholders, which is students who are just like you, aspiring to become barristers, and mentors who are barristers. And so that coordinating role, being at the center, I thought was brilliant. And again, you get to become a mentee of the famous Nia Marshall. And so I thought, what a brilliant opportunity. And so I went for it when I got the opportunity to.
Interesting. I wouldn't describe myself as famous at all, far from. But those are some interesting reasons. And what do you think are the benefits so far of being one of the volunteer coordinators? I'd like for you to touch a bit on mentorship as well.
I think the first benefit really is the quality of the mentorship that you receive from your mentor. And I believe that many of the mentees would speak to that quality of mentorship. I've been very fortunate to receive mentorship from you. And I think that the last 6 months have been very extraordinary for me. the learning about life, law, and practice, and following your own journey and sharing your own personal lessons, which I think have been useful for me. It's one thing I can touch on. The second benefit, I think, is the interaction, really, encountering people who think like you, aspire just like you, and the quality of the work we do. Occasionally, you see the satisfaction from the email of a mentee, being thankful for the opportunity. That alone, I think, gives me the grace to carry on. And it's somewhat, validates your feeling as you do this, that you are in the right space, you are in the right environment, you are with people who think like you, who hope like you. And for me, I think that is brilliant, really.
Like-minded people, that's why IFBM was created. We need something for us and by us, so that we know how to navigate the hurdles that we face. Let's talk a bit about your legal journey. So I note and I know that you have a first degree in political studies. So why did you decide to pursue the law?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. In the many barristers who are of African descent will tell you that in the typical African home, there are five key professions. You either become a medical doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant, or a disappointment. So so naturally, as you grow, you are somewhat designed to pick one of those. I obviously had law in mind because at the time I was talkative. I loved writing. But I don't think I set out initially to become a lawyer. At some part of my teenage years, I wanted to become a politician and a journalist. And that explains, of course, why I studied political science. But when I was in the university, something changed for me. I became much more active in politics. And I found that most of the people who are key leading political figures were lawyers as well. One of the key architects of the political tradition I belong to, the famous Joseph Boakai Dankwa, studied in Lincoln, in just like you, and he's the one that's been described by the British government at the time as a doyen of Ghanaian politics. And one of the famous cases he handled was Ria Kutu. And the quality of advocacy at the time I found really inspiring. So catching up on these things somewhat persuaded me that perhaps this is a life designed for me, to speak for people, use the power of speech and logic to advocate in court. I think that burden was somewhat laid in my heart, and I've pursued that since then.
Do you think that political studies still has your heart a bit? Do you think it's something that you could consider returning to or anything of the sort?
Definitely, it's not far from reach. Even here in the United Kingdom, I've seen many of the politicians, leading politicians were once barristers. The classical example is the current Prime Minister Keir Starmer was famous the human rights barrister. So it's not far from reach, really. And you find, Nia, that there are shared ideas. When you study political science, you encounter some of the key concepts that I know. I studied constitutional studies and learned about constitutions and the nature of constitutions. I studied things like political thoughts, where Marxism and utilitarianism, these are things you'd find in say jurisprudence. And so that transfer of knowledge for me has been quite useful. They say that when you study political science, you must ace your constitutional law exams, which I did, thankfully.
Excellent, excellent. So, what impact do you think having a first degree in political studies, what impact do you think that has on pursuing a career at the bar? I think you started to talk about it.
I think I did touch a bit of that in terms of the course content and how these knowledge can be transferred. And but also important is the fact that when you study in the humanities or the social sciences, as we call it, you tend to build a wide value judgment skills. You learn about people, you learn about cultures, you learn about history. And I think that value judgment skill builds a solid foundation upon which you are able to appreciate many legal theories and legal principles. And so that for me is the major impact, really.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, I can't help but notice as well that you have an LLB from a Ghanaian university, an
I do.
LLM in energy law and policy, as well as an LLM law conversion. So would you be able to, because you're well versed, it's clear that you've got a solid educational foundation. Would you be able to share three lessons that you've learned from your studies that you will be incorporating in your career at the bar?
Thank you, Nia. First of all, I think having an LLB from Ghana and coming to the UK to study for the law conversion course was an opportunity for me to sort of evaluate the amount of legal knowledge I've been exposed to. And one of the first take for me is that the LLBs that we have, mostly from across the common law jurisdictions, are not inferior LLBs. The principles are the same. Fundamentally, you study the same thing. And so for me, the opportunity to sort of sit in the classroom twice and learn some of these things, I've somewhat consolidated my legal knowledge. And I think that vast appreciation of legal principles would come to bear, hopefully, when I become a barrister. Secondly, Nia, the opportunity to some sort of evaluate the teaching methods, which we call in educational parlance pedagogy. For somebody who aspires to become an academic as well, you tend to catch on a bit of that, how research is done differently, what skills are common, what do you think needs to be improved on, and hopefully, if you look for it to become a cross jurisdictional barrister, you tend to find that comparative appreciation as you go ahead. And finally, I think the study of an LLM in energy law and policy, as you know, was done here in the UK. And so I have a vast commercial knowledge of the energy and natural resource industry, which I think will be competitive when it comes to applying for pupillage. That's appreciation of a specialist body of knowledge, where you are not just versed in the common law ideas, but having a specialist knowledge that is useful and in a thriving industry for me would make me competitive when it comes to scrambling for pupillage, as we've come to know.
Scrambling.
Yeah.
That's certainly a way to describe it. Just turning slightly now to your work experience, would you be able to also identify three ways in which your work experience will assist you in securing pupillage?
Thank you, Nia. I've had a chance to listen to a few barristers by way of interviews, and many of them will tell you that it might be a good thing to come to the law straight from an undergraduate degree, but they tell you that they're not looking for people who primarily understand the requirement of negligence, but don't know how to take the trash, or don't know how to welcome guests, or don't know how to create an event at chambers. And so, working in various fields, in public procurement, in customer service, in retail, in events, these things give you very useful skills: how to interact with people, how to understand and read people, how to write a decent memo, how to write a decent email. That's for me is an advantage because I've learned these things. And for me, when it comes to applying for pupillage, I'm confident that I'm not coming to the bar as an ordinary person with legal skills, but I do have other skills that can be transferred, that can be useful, because the practice of law is both a business and an impact to society. And so I think that's all round skills would be useful. Secondly, yeah, and you would bear me out that as you go through your career, things like diary management, things like cost accounting, understanding money, and all of that, it's quite useful for your life as a barrister. Having dealt with these things, I've negotiated contract in public procurement. I have received payment. I have dealt with these things, received a salary, manage my finances, manage my diary. These things I think would be useful when it comes to practicing at the bar and applying for pupillage. And finally, I think that the opportunity to have a life outside of law, pursue other interests, things that you like attending the festival, attending the carnival, attending karaoke. These are things that would come to you naturally as you explore the world of work, and you find that these interests all together make you a round barrister when it comes to applying for pupillage, when it comes to applying your skills at the bar. And so I'm confident that these lessons are vital.
Indeed, I'm glad that you appreciate the transferable skills that can be derived from non-legal professions, because a lot of people think, oh, I must be a paralegal, I must be an advocate, I must be doing something in the law. But no, we are in the people business. we are in the people business first,
Definitely.
and it's about interpersonal skills, developing those interpersonal skills. It's about research skills. It's about being an effective communicator. There are a lot of things that go into the bar, and that's why you would know that as I conduct the mentorship, I ask you guys to keep a reflective journal, where you keep a note of your
Definitely.
each work experience and each transferable skill as well, and the example and how it would relate to the bar. It's also very, very good pointers and very good discussion topics when you go to pupillage interviews. Come on, a panelist has heard almost of every type of legal job, but when you can actually speak about something else that they possibly haven't heard and make the causal links, I think that's impressive. Just showing them, how you can apply those skills, because at the end of the day, we have to deal with a wide cross section of society. And when you participate and you have worked in other fields, it means you have that experience. So I'm glad that you have kind of highlighted that, so that persons who are listening would note that every job matters, every profession matters, and there's some kind of transferable skill that you can be taking from there to bring into your practice. And it's true, it's not just being a barrister. You are right. You've got to manage your diary, and that involves liaising with your clerks, creating a delicate balance between you guys. And then also, managing your practice. That's one of our core duties. Practice management includes your finances. You got to have your stuff together. So I'm glad that you've mentioned all of that. Now, you are an international applicant. Undoubtedly, you face challenges. We all face challenges by nature of our categorization.
Yeah.
So, as an international aspiring barrister, name two of the most significant challenges that you've encountered in your pursuit of a career at the bar.
Thank you, Nia. First of all, I think the question of finances obviously is no doubt. I have personally funded my legal education, and you are doing that in a no man's land. So that is a huge challenge. How to fund your education, fund your lifestyle, fund yourself, navigate the world of work with studies. I think is quite a hurdle that many international applicants face. The second thing, and I say this to many people, that as an international student, you are at the most minor end of the minority scale. Um, First of all, you are a young Black African. Um, you're living in the United Kingdom, where there are issues when it comes to opportunities and access to people within the ethnic minority. You tend to face a double of that, and like the famous Elijah Pope said to Olivia Pope in Scandal, you have to prove that you are twice as good, and that can come with a certain burden. You'd have days when you ask yourself and wonder whether you are meant for this life, whether you are actually meant to do this, whether you think that you made the right choice. And that psychological burden for me is many of the things that the national student face with. The other thing is with navigating the immigration process. You and I have had communication about some of these things in the past, and it can be quite a hurdle where there are inconveniencing moments, and for me, I wouldn't want to go much into them, but these things are the silent cries of many international aspirants to the bar, and I faced them myself in many a great deal.
I'm sure that you are still facing some of the challenges. But so I'm going to ask you, how did you overcome, or how are you overcoming, or what plan of action do you have in place to conquer these challenges?
Um, First of all, I fall on my Christian faith. Um, if you don't believe in God, you obviously believe in something, a value, something, a family tradition. Um, and that for me gives me a certain clarity. On days when I'm down, I open the Methodist hymn and sing some of my famous hymns. The Father, I know my life is portion for me. I think some of the hymns to inspire myself, but also it comes mostly from a certain self belief, a certain strong enablement in your own dream. That's I set out to do this, and come what may, I'm going to overcome this, and having a certain clarity of vision that challenges may come, but I can overcome this. And for me, it's something I say to international students that you decided to do this. Many people, even here in the United Kingdom, face their own challenges. And when you speak to barristers across board, they'll tell you, what challenges that they face. And so, first of all, the challenges that you are going through are not unique to you. Of course, you are dealing with a peculiar kind of challenge, but you have to know that you have this, and be content. Don't be pressured by the journey. You have to get to the point where you take life as it comes. Take your failures, take your troubles, and wake up every morning and say to yourself, you have to fly. What if you fall? But what if you fly? It's a poem by the famous, Erin Hansen. What if you fly? And for me, that is a key motivation that I live by.
What if you fly? I think we get so consumed by the negative. What if
Yeah,
I fall? Rather than what if I actually do
yeah,
this? What if
yeah,
I got this?
yeah,
What if I am the key to the next generation?
yeah,
What if I'm opening doors?
yeah,
It's inspiring, self-belief. You have to, it's hard. Some days are harder than the others. Some days
yeah,
you're thriving. Some days all you need to do is survive the moment.
yeah.
But you're right, you have to find something. For me, it's God as well, but you have to find something to come back to a core and just be like, this is why I'm doing this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is why I am doing this. So as an international aspiring barrister, we've spoken about the challenges. Would you be able to name two of your proudest moments in pursuing the bar so far?
Thank you. Of course, if you are the very latent stage of your training, you don't get to have many big moments, because I believe that our best years are ahead. But I think that one of the things I've learned from you in recent times is to be able to appreciate your small successes and celebrate them. So first of all, I would say that the ability to go through a law conversion course for 1 year, amidst the challenges of health, and what have you, and being able to complete, decently, for me, is a proud moment. The second moment I think about, which comes in small droves, like speaking to a barrister who makes you feel that your head is at the right place, that you probably are onto something. Um, um, it's a moment of pride. I say that when I embarked on my first mini pupillage, the barrister introduced me to the judge and said that, Judge, I'm here with Mr. Ashong, who is a mini pupil. And the judge looked at me and said, Hello, Mr. Ashong, welcome to my court. For me, that's sense of visibility, small as it may seem, is a proud moment. Can recall a moment where I attended an opening day at Hicks, the regional law firm in Midlands, and there was a mock interview, and I must have done pretty well. And having an email back from the HR to say that the feedback from your mock interview was excellent. We'll keep an eye, out for you. Send me your CV. Let me have it on record. Those moments make you feel that maybe you are onto something. Maybe you are doing something right, or maybe you are not mistaken after all. Those are some of the recollections I can give as my proud moment. I know I've gone on and on, but those small things comes together to give you a smile.
I'm so glad to hear you saying that, because you know how I feel about the small moments, because the small moments lead to the big moments. You know how I feel
Yes,
about this. We've
it
had a lot
does.
about
It
this
does indeed.
in mentorship sessions, and
It
I'm
does
glad
indeed.
to hear you, really celebrating it, embracing it, because we often overlook the small moments like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll wait for this. I'll wait for that.
Yeah.
You know what? Time is so precious,
Yeah.
and every day is a blessing to be alive.
Yeah.
So we've got to celebrate the things that we have seen, the things we have experienced, knowing that they just propel us forward, and knowing that they continue to be greater days ahead, although
Yeah.
the present itself is
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Now, we're bringing this interview to a close, and I have to ask you, because I believe that you can share some kind of inspirational word to those aspiring barristers as well. What would you say to those international aspiring barristers who are keen to pursue a career at the bar?
Thank you. First of all, I'll say that your dreams are valid. Um, you're not out of place to want to study and practice here in England and Wales, especially the people who come from common law jurisdictions like I am, the people whose countries were once colonies of the United Kingdom. I say to them, that's a way of psychological boost. You are not out of place, you are home. Many of our legal jurisdictions and legal systems were influenced by the Anglo Welsh system. This is home, and so you are not out of place. In my country, about six or so of our chief justices are people who have trained here, studied here. They've been in the inns just like us. The current president of my country was a Middle Templar, who's has been known as one of the famous advocates in our country. So your dreams are not invalid. You are home. You are doing what others have done. I think that clarity of thought is actually absolutely important. Secondly, now that your dreams are valid, know that you have to get them. And for many of us, thankfully, we have that training of strength and resilience. Do not lose that. Do not despair. Keep at it. Thankfully, there are many examples of people who have done that. Find an example. Find a mentor. Nia Marshall has done it. Maybe you can. The young girl from Trinidad enjoying her carnival,
I'm from Barbados.
from Barbados,
I love
sorry,
Trinidad, but I'm from Barbados.
from Barbados, has been able to
Big up the
navigate.
Trinis, big up the Trinis, but I'm a Bajan.
Yeah, thank you for that. You've been able to navigate the journey and gotten there. So can you. So keep your eye on the goal and remember, what if you fly? What if you fly? Those for me are the vital lessons I live for international applicants to the Bar of England and Wales.
What if you fly, folks? That has to be the key takeaway here. What if you fly? What if you soar? Oh my goodness.
Definitely.
I always say, the world needs you, the bar needs you, England and Wales needs you. We need as many people as we can get. We need all the unique, perspectives. And your background is your superpower. Bring it to bear. Don't hide it. Don't conceal it. We need you. Joseph, it has been a pleasure. It has been inspirational, and I'm sure that those who have listened found it inspirational and a very fantastic interview. So thank you very much for giving up your time to do this.
It's been a pleasure, and let me say as we wrap up that Nia, what we do at IFBM is amazing. It's not every day in history that somebody takes up the mantle and says, well, there are difficulties. I face them. Other people face them. But I will create something that would make the journey easier and lighter. I would keep the doors open for people that come after me. So what you have created, and I've always said that it's a fantastic dream. And I'm very much proud to be part of this. I welcome all international applicants to be part of this. Come on, get a mentor, and let's build the community in the next 10 years, the next 20 years. Let's have people, at various places in chambers and say that, but for the IFBM, this journey would have been somewhere. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm proud to be a part of this. Thank you, indeed.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. We continue to plod on, folks. We do this for you. We do this for you. We do this so that the journey can be easier for you than it was for me and my fellow colleagues, my fellow friends, my fellow mentors, because our mentorship scheme is expanding. So do apply. Thank you very much, folks. And I'm going to see you on the next episode. Take care of yourself and goodbye. See you later.
See you later. Bye.